This video is an introduction to a program called LoggerPro. We'll be using it all year long. We use it to create graphs manually. We will also use it to actually control equipment in the laboratory, in which we'll actually port numbers into the graph. And we'll learn how to work with those numbers and curve fits and a lot of analysis, and so it's a wonderful program. It's quite simple to use, and the great thing is the site license allows you to have it at home for free. And so one of the things that you've been asked to do, of course, is download the file from Blackboard and load it onto your own computer, and I hope you start using it. You can use it in some other classes besides physics. Your math class might have a great opportunity for you to use that program. So today I'm going to show you some basics on how to get started with it. These are the kind of things that you're really going to need to be able to do almost every single time you use LoggerPro. So the first thing you do is you have to open the program. So on your desktop you should find an icon. Double click on that, and this may take a moment. Depends on maybe how many times you've used it, but it should open up here any moment. All right, well, you notice this is just a blank. It has the data set over here. This is where you can put your X and Y data. You might think of this as just as the old-fashioned T-chart that we used to use in math. And here's where the graph goes. And up here there are a lot of buttons, and as time goes on we'll learn how to use some of those different buttons and things in these pull-down menus. So first thing we do is we just need to enter some data. And so if you follow along here, I'm going to go on the X-axis. I'm going to enter the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And in the Y column, I'm going to enter 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. And by the way, as I did that, I was using the down button, down arrow to move up and down. If you do the enter button, you'll actually scroll across first, and I didn't want to do that in this case. So now, as you notice here, as the data went in, well, stuff started showing up on the graph, but it is pretty small, and later on we'll show you how to fix that. But right now, I want to show you how to change this X and the Y, because X and Y it's just two names for an axis, coordinates on an axis system. So we're going to change them to mean something. So the way to do that is you need to literally just click on the X, double click on the X, and this window pops up, and it asks you, well, what do you want to name this? So in this case, we're going to name this time. So I type in the word time, and I like to use a tab button.
Ms. Whitlatch, please call 123 or come.
Sorry about that interruption. And then short name. Sometimes if you have a really long title, you put something shorter here. Time is fine. And our units, which we're learning about, in this case, I'll type in seconds. And I'll click done, and now you notice two things. One, this is now called time in seconds, and also very important down here, now it says time being measured in seconds. Do the same thing on the y-axis. I'm going to double click, and the y-axis is going to be something called displacement. And these are things that will mean more to you a little bit later in the course. And again, for this case, the short name, displacement might be a little too long for that, so I'm just going to go just DISPL, that tells me what I want there, and my unit is meters. And I'm done. All right, so now I have named my axes, and so I have displacement on the Y and time on the X. But we haven't done anything with this graph yet. It's too small, and I can't see the points. So first thing I'm going to do is double click on the graph. It's very common if you want to change the graph, double click on it. You can't hurt it, and more likely you're likely to find something you can use here. So I'm going to double click on it. This window opens up, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select point protectors, and I'm going to deselect connect the points. And for now I'm going to hit done so you can see what has happened here. And so you notice down here, now the points are visible from the data, and the line that was connecting them has disappeared. But this is still a very, very small graph, so I think I'm going to show you now how we can fix that. There's a couple ways you can do that. One way is to simply press this button up here. This capital A is called the auto scale, and if you press that, it does what it says, it takes all the data and automatically scales it to fit the entire graph. And that's a very common feature. However, one of the problems is it does take the last point, and it's kind of hidden way up here in this corner. And in this case, the origin is also buried down here in the lower left corner. So sometimes auto-fit is not the best thing because you might lose your first and last bit of data. So a lot of times what I like to do is use these two magnifying glasses, the zoom in and the zoom out. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, or zoom out. So now we see our data here, and you might like it just like that. But let's suppose you kind of want to get it all in the graph, but you don't want everything too close to the end. So what I do is I'm going to click and drag. So I'm going to click with my mouse and drag over, and you'll notice that there's two shades of gray here. The darker gray, in this case, is the one I'm interested in. Whatever is in the darker gray, that is what's going to show up on my graph when I click the zoom in or plus magnifying glass. So watch when I do that, and now you notice that that zooms in on what I had highlighted. And so now I've got a nice pleasant graph. I can see all the data points, and I can see the X and Y axis quite nicely. So that's a quick way to just rescale your data. And if you want to do, by the way, let's say you just want to look at these 3 points, well then you could click here and highlight and zoom in, and now you just see those 3 points. All right, well let's say you've made a graph, and the next thing you might need to do is to print it. So let me quickly show you the process of doing that. So you come up here to File, and you pull down, and you go to, let's go to Page Setup, and I like Landscape. Landscape is going to put more of the graph on your paper, and it's going to proportionally, it's better. Obviously, your graph looks landscape, so I click OK. And then you want to print. Now, there are lots of print options here. There's Print Preview. If you just want to see what's going on here, you can see this obviously is what would print. If you did that, I'm going to cancel this. And then if you go to, then there's just Print in general. If you print in general, it will always print exactly what's on the screen, which you may not want to do. You can print just the data table, but in this case, and very often, we want to just print the graph. The data is probably somewhere else, maybe in the lab report, so we probably don't need to print the data table and the graph, so let's just print graph. And so if you select print graph, you sometimes will get this window which allows you to put your name at the bottom if you want in a footer. I don't usually require that, but if I do, I'll let you know. And then you click OK, and then of course whatever printer comes up, whether depending what room you're in or if you're at home, and print. I'm going to cancel here, but we don't need to print it. But if you print OK, of course it will cancel. It will print it out. Well, very quickly to summarize, what I just want to show you is how to open it, how to manually put some data in, how to change the columns so that they mean something besides X and Y, how to rescale, and how to print. But before I leave, I just realized I forgot a very, very important thing, and it's so easy to show you. Do it now. I don't have a title. And so I'm going to double click on the graph, and up here it has a blank for title, and it's just waiting for me to say something. So I will type in displacement versus time. Not a very good title for reasons I'll get into later in the course, but at least at this point it's descriptive. And I click done, and now you see that there is a title, and now it's actually ready to print. So in any graph that we do, you always want to do these basic things. Thank you.